Hey, everybody.
Amazing.
I hope that you are having a fantastic day today. If you are bored or feeling a little bit dreary, this is a video for you. And it's also a great reminder that it's a great time to start getting active and excited. During that lockdown that we just got out of, it was incredibly hard for so many families, especially with families that had little ones at home. And getting them into school, it was challenging. Getting them engaged and online was even more challenging. Now, imagine being in a situation with maybe a child that has autism and then having that disconnect happen. It could be pretty big for any family to cope with. But there's one person that has been taking great stride to bring innovation and to make change so that education and entertainment is available to everyone, including kids that have autism. And today I am so incredibly excited to have Matt Mazur, the owner of Turtle Dance Music, here with us today. And Matt is anything but boring. And he has created entertainment for children and adults with development disabilities to make it something that is beyond what you would normally see. So, Matt, thank you so much for coming out today. I appreciate you.
Hello, Liz. How are you? I'm so happy to see you. Sorry, I serenade you.
Oh, I love it. I love it. It's always a great way to have somebody serenade you right from the beginning on a live stream. And I can say, because I've watched you for a while, Matt, you always have enthusiasm. So no surprise. Thank you for that musical little antidote for my afternoon. It helps. It's very dreary here in Michigan. So
Well, can
you
I?
have been working on some really cool, innovative things to bring excitement to entertainment online and even offline. And I was hoping when you came today that you would be able to share some insight on this journey that you've been taking since COVID and even before that on helping bring a little bit more life and excitement to the world around us.
Well, yeah, I think the thing about that is that I think like if you're like a caterpillar, you're always crawling to the next thing so you can wrap yourself in a chrysalis and turn into a butterfly. And as they say, as the no, sorry, I just messed around. I'm gonna come. You're like, oh my goodness, Mr. Matt, stop with all the technical stuff. No, so one thing I do is I studied music technology at New York University, and I have a graduate degree in autism and early childhood development. And one thing that I thought was very important is I've been planning to go virtual since 2015, and way before the pandemic. And I was even going to seriously start September the year before. And getting started is the hardest thing. It's the hardest part. But I would love to show your audience some of what I do, just so like we could change the way we move. Change it. Can I do a song for you guys? Would that be cool?
Yeah, I think that would be awesome to have a chance to see what it is that you're doing.
So let's do this. I'm plugging in my speaker right now, and one thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get us moving. So what I'm gonna ask you to do is just mute your microphone, just so because I'm using high fidelity audio, so there's no feedback. So mute your microphone. Achoo! I'm gonna make myself nice and small, and just give me a thumbs up that you can hear my audio. Here we go. All right, everybody, let's change the way we move to change the way we feel. Clap your hands. I need to clap, clap, clap. Go. Clap my hands. I need to clap, clap, clap. Come on now. Clap my hands. Very nice. I need to clap, clap, clap. Excellent, Mommy Lala. Excellent, Liz. Stomp your feet. I need to stomp, stomp, stomp. Good. Stomp my feet. Very nice. I need to stomp, stomp, stomp. Stomp my feet. I need to stomp, stomp, stomp. Yeah. Stomp my feet. I need to stomp my. Excellent job stomping your feet, Mommy Lala. I need to sneeze. I just sneezed on me. Gross. I need to sneeze. Don't sneeze on me again, Liz. No! You sneezed on me again, Liz. I need to cover my sneeze. I need need to cover my sneeze, so I don't spend any. Sing like a cat. Here we go. Need to sing like a cat. Sing like a monkey. Sing like a dog. Bark. Sing just like a pig. Point, point. Stretch your arms way up high. Wave your arms side. Everyone, to side. Liz, Lala, get your arms up in the air. I love it. Stretch them up high. Nice job. Amazing job, kids. I need to hug somebody. Give them a hug. I gotta hug. These are all my stuffed animals. Give your teddy bear a hug. Hug somebody. Give them a hug. I gotta give some. Give your box dog a hug. Give your parents a hug. Clap your hands. Here we go. I need to clap, clap. Amazing. Excellent job. I need to clap, clap, clap. Clap my hands. I need to clap my happy hands. Absolutely incredible job. Everyone wiggle your bodies. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Okay,
I love it. I love it. That was great. That was great. A lot of energy there.
So, I want to tell you, like, developmentally, there's actually a lot of things going on in that song. And for all the parents who are watching today, I love Mommy Lala. It's like one of my favorite songs. I absolutely love it. I worked in a lot of schools, and in 2017, 2018, 2019, I was walking into classrooms and watching students like zombies watching Go Noodle and Baby Shark, and a lot of musicians came along who started doing movement-based videos, and I was watching the kids move and dance to these pre-recorded videos. So on YouTube. So I said, and by the way, they're fabulous. Like Daniel Tiger and a lot in Sesame Street, they have teams of Nick Jr., Blue's Clues. They have teams of people thinking, okay, this is the medium we work in. How can it be developmentally beneficial for kids who are going to use it, for kids whose parents have multiple jobs? I learned in the pandemic that screens actually play an essential role if the parent is working multiple jobs and can't find a babysitter, mom and dad don't live nearby. It's actually, when you don't have that support network, screens play an essential role for a lot of families. So if families are going to be using it, how can it be used to develop genuine, authentic, live relationships with the kids? How can we be doing gross motor movement where we're moving our body, even clapping your hands? I come from an autism background. I work with kids who are in wheelchairs, and I work with kids who are missing parts of their head and their body, and they can't. So motivating them to even do that is a big deal. To meet both hands at the midline of your brain. It's a very big deal. So, and we even noticed, I would work in a lot of hospitals with units where kids would be watching Nickelodeon or Nick Jr. until I came in. And then I would come in and rock the house, and they were like this, and they would have me like twice a month, every month, and I would bring in my real instruments. And then the pandemic happened, and the kids couldn't touch my instruments. They couldn't, do the things with the tactile stuff. So I said, look, where everybody is, our infrastructure changed. And it's not about whether or not screens work. We have to engineer them in a way that if we have a parallel situation, or another COVID or anything, they have to work. Otherwise, kids are going to get left out of the system. And we definitely need to make sure that all kids have access to a stable internet connection in and out of school.
I 100% agree with you, and I think that's a big problem. That's another problem that we need to address from an entire nation standpoint, so we don't have children that are left behind. Now, with changes that you've gone through since COVID, you are now doing this. Are you live streaming these sessions?
Yes, actually full time. I sold my touring car, and it's interesting because I think that the real sign a year and a half in that I take seriously is the way that teachers have responded, the way that principals have responded, the way that daycare owners who said we will never do virtual, we only want in-person events, they see my show where it is now, Because when I started, right, I started like everybody else. It was terrible. It's always terrible when you start. You don't open up the laptop and it's like, this guy is famous. It takes 5 to 10 years. The top YouTubers have been doing it for 5 to 10 years. That's how, like Marquez Brownlee, who's the top YouTuber from Maplewood, New Jersey, started in high school, opened up his laptop, reviewed, found objects like old cassette players and stuff and tech around his house. And now Tesla and Apple and Google say he's the best reviewer on the world and want him to review their products. He's like Radiolab meets a TED Talk meets a live stream. And I think, and he went to college too. He went to a technical college in like Stevens University, and not like a big fancy school. And he's the top YouTuber in America. So like, I think that this is absolutely a viable route for a lot of kids. But wait, I want to go back to your question because I have ADHD. And legit, that's why also movement. I went to the gym at 6:30 this morning. I have to exercise to stay focused.
I think a lot of
what was your
creative
original
people
question?
have that. So, yes, it's familiar over here as well.
I think, it's really interesting just because people want me so bad. I was New York Public Library's main music performer. I would go to all their branches in the Bronx and Manhattan and Staten Island. I lived in Forest Hills, Queens, and I was driving around all over the country performing, rural Pennsylvania, the Hamptons on Long Island, rural Connecticut, inside of Philadelphia. I was all, and I was performing for the First Lady of Delaware and the Secretary of Education. They have me back every year. They love it so much. So when the pandemic hit, I had to switch to virtual, and it was really painful because I would open my laptop and I'm like, I'll just do what I do in my in-person shows. And people tuned out 2-3 minutes in, 1 minute in. They were like, this is terrible. This is not catching my attention. And what I've learned about virtual is, and these are very practical tips, right? When I started out, I tried to do things that I did in person. I would jump around and use high energy. I've learned to focus my body in one spot and use I took a choreography class. It's called graining. So we're doing more subtle movements that have a lot of intensity. So when I'm clapping, I'm actually focusing a lot of energy. I'm actually not, see, that's how much I'm moving my hands. I'm not going, I'm not like jumping around and I'm actually trying to focus my energy and send it into the camera. And that body language tells the kids that that's what they should be doing. And, looking into the camera makes a really big deal. Even saying the kids' first names, doing what Rafi Kavuki, and the famous children's singer, says is child honoring. And, I think about with my son Teddy, look, there are other people that are going to try and do this, and I want to develop the best system for people like my son Teddy. Can I show you another thing really quickly? Can I do something really, really
Yeah,
silly?
I'd absolutely love
So,
it.
so people in the chat who are watching, I think the interactivity is the difference between this being a 2-dimensional experience and it being a 3-dimensional. And by the way, the ALA, the American Library Association, just asked me to put together tutorials for all of the librarians in the United States. I would think I know what I'm talking about. But let's do this. Let's do Old MacDonald Had a Farm. Basic example. And this is for educators, parents, and people like that. What I'm going to do is I am going to turn into a bunch of different animals. I'm going to read the chat. Type in your favorite animals in the chat. Ask your kids what their favorite animals are, and I'm going to turn into that animal. So I'm going to start with a pig here. Boink, boink, boink. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take your suggestions, type them into the chat, and I'm going to turn into those animals. And Liz, I'm going to ask you to mute your audio just so like we could use the high fidelity sound, okay? So I'm watching the chat right here. I'm going to turn to a pig. Oink, 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 oink. And I was doing that the whole time and by the way, I still make mistakes too. Like, even though I'm like a tech guy, like everyone makes mistakes. But let's do this. Here we go. Everyone clap your hands. Here we go. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. On that farm he had a pig. Everyone roll around like a pig and spin in your rolly chair if you can. With a roll here and a roll there. Roll here and a roll there. Old MacDonald had a pig. E-I-E-I-O. And let's say people aren't typing in the chat. That's totally cool. One other thing you could do is you can have a preset list. So let's do a sheep and let's get jumping up and down. On that farm, they had a sheep. Everyone jump up and down. Here we go. With the ba-ba here, ba-ba there, ba-ba here, and a ba-ba there. Old MacDonald had a sheep. E-I-E-I-O. What's another animal? Liz, give me an animal. Unmute your mic. Tell me an animal. Quick. 1, 2, 3, go. Quick
Lala
animal.
said dog.
A dog. Okay. Oh, now their dog game is actually lacking. So all I can do is turn to a hot dog, but we'll go with it. On that farm, they had a hot dog. E-I-E-I-O. With a woof woof here and a woof woof. What? Do hot dogs not make that sound? Oh, MacDonald had a dog. E-I-E-I-O. But they don't have a dog, but they might have a cat. So let's do a cat. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. On that farm, they had a cat. Stretch out like a cat in outer space with a meow meow here, meow meow there, meow meow here, and a meow meow there. Old MacDonald had a cat. E-I-E-I-O. We're looking for more suggestions while we are. Everyone reach up into the sky and eat like a giraffe. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. We go. On that farm, they had a giraffe. E-I-E-I-O. Here we go. With the chomp chomp here, chomp chomp there, nom nom here, and a chomp chomp there. Old MacDonald had a giraffe. E-I-E-I-O. And on that farm, they had a groundhog. Everyone dig like a groundhog. Here we go. With a dig dig here and a dig dig there. Dig dig here and a dig dig there. Old MacDonald had a groundhog. E-I-E-I-O. And let's check the chat one more time. A hot dog, a cow. Oh, we had a cow. They used to have a cow, and I don't know where the cows went, but I will do this one instead. I will do and on that farm, they had let's do a horse. E-I-E-I-O, with a neigh-neigh here and a neigh-neigh there. Neigh-neigh here and a neigh-neigh there. Old MacDonald had a horse. E-I-E-I-O. And on that farm, they had let's do a shark. E-I-E-I-O, with a chomp chomp here and a chomp chomp there. Chomp chomp here and a chomp chomp there. Old MacDonald had a shark. E-I-E-I-O. Last one. On that farm, they had a rabbit. Let's do a rabbit. E-I-E-I-O, with a hip hop here and a hip hop there. Hip hop here and a hip hop there. Old MacDonald had a rabbit. E-I-E-I-O. Old MacDonald had a farm. E-I-E-I-O. Bye-bye. But that's like, yeah, I love how everyone's amazing. Yes, I love it. And so, what's different about our interview is normally I use Zoom, and the kids are super duper active in the chat. And what's really great, again, I perform for like 205 kids in elementary school. For those shows, you have to turn the chat off, right? Yeah, like legit. And especially if it's like middle school kids or like upper. But then at the end of the show, they're like, "This is amazing! This is incredible!" And for the kindergarten and the preschool classes, I like to try and do everything one-on-one with them if possible. So I have 8 to 12 kids, and then I can really say all the kids' names. They can take their suggestions. And the other thing that makes it different, right, is with some of the YouTube stars. I had one parent tell me that she actually has her child, she's going through so much, right? She hands the iPad off to her child, and she doesn't want the child to know how sad she feels, And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. And one thing that we're trying to do is we're trying to create an experience that the teachers and the parents and the grandparents, we want the grandparents to join in and have a great time. We're performing in Connecticut, right? And Grandma Mima comes visit with one of the families. I was at the Walcott Library. Mima comes to visit the family. She sees the show, loves it, flies back 2 weeks later, joins in our 6-week series with the North Carolina extension of the family. And now Mima and the Connecticut family in North Carolina and Connecticut, they're all jamming together with this Zoom technology.
I love that. So it gives an opportunity to create family connection while educating and entertaining. So you're really bringing people together and creating, I think, not just positive vibes, but that sense of connection. And we needed that, especially during COVID. So many people that were left behind, stuck at home, stuck in that rut of depression. And you are like this bright rainbow with sunshine that comes pushing through the screen. You can't help but to feel good after kind of engaging with some of your content. But what
No,
made you decide to get into doing this in the first place?
um, well, I did want to be that ray of sunshine for all the kids. And, I one thing that I think was really important is I graduated, let's be like straight. In 2008, graduated in like the heart of the recession, right? In America, the housing bubble. And so there were no jobs for us really educated. I went to New York University and there were no jobs. I'm going to switch back to my camera to talk for this one. There were no jobs for a lot of us really talented millennials. 2010, 2011 were two. Daniel Pink says it. It was in his book about time. He says that those are two of the worst years to graduate from college. And so, I mean, I remember going to an elementary school being like, hey, I would love to sign up as a teacher. And I had my NYU, like, my GPA, and I had my stuff. And they were like, sorry, we don't have anything. And I remember this sense of, and like Teach for America too. I wanted to work in special education, got turned down. And I was like, what is happening? I'm this highly educated guy. I can't get, there are no jobs. I can't get anything. So I went and got a master's degree and I got a graduate degree in autism and early childhood development. I started teaching music classes at a local YMCA in Montclair, New Jersey. They were a hit. I mean, I took my performance and my musical theater background, and parents would pack into those classes. They were like, add more Mr. Matt classes. And then I was like, I started doing some teaching artist work in the New York City schools, and I started getting sent to autism schools. And I was like, I want to get a graduate degree in this and really do it incredibly well. Um, so I started performing for autism centers, and I felt like a real man helping out kids with autism, because that's like taking care of like kids with special needs. That's like the greatest thing you could ever do. It was like a very life affirming thing. These kids were like heavenly, they were wonderful. And then I met my wife, whose brother has autism. And just like, I love him with all my heart. His name is Tim, he's 40. And I eventually started running my own company in 2011, 2012, and that became very popular to the point where I'm New York Public Library's main music performer. I was, again, performing for the First Lady of Delaware. I have 550 shows a year, and that's actually a lot of shows driving around. And then I had a team of musicians who I would send to shows and sites. I mean, I had a real operation. And then COVID hit, and we had to let everybody go, and it was very sad. And a lot of us, it was like I was back to where I was back in 2008, 2009, 2010, living with my parents, going to graduate school, wondering like what went wrong, what is wrong with me. And it's not that's what was wrong with me, it's that there's something wrong in society. There's these really talented millennials and Gen Z. They're so talented, they're amazing. Look at the stuff they do on Twitch and TikTok and Reddit. It's not all dumb cat videos. Some of it's like really fabulous creative work. So, long and short story, I went back to NYU and I started studying music technology in 2015. And I saw live streaming with Periscope, this technology where you can go live from your phone to anyone in the world. I said, this is a game changer. And, I think about global warming all the time. I put 180,000 miles on my car in 4 years. Think about all that carbon spewing into the air and melting the ice caps. And I have a son who, by the time he's my age, he's 33, what planet is he going to live on if I continue in this unsustainable way of doing music performances? And all these things combined together. I saw what was happening with YouTube. I saw what was happening with the smart boards in the classroom, and I saw what was happening with live streaming. I put two and two and two together, and I got what I'm doing right now, which is six. Like,
It's funny, clever. But it's
yeah,
kind of amazing. It was almost like having that notion to prepare before the storm even hit. And fortunately, through I think tools that you're bringing online, it's providing a sense of life. It's
yeah,
providing a sense of not everything's bad. And I think right now we need that more than ever. But one of the things I think that is really unique is this approach that you're taking to make sure that you're connecting with kids that have autism. Because often we have a hard time just getting through the regular day. And some of these people that are in niche categories sometimes don't get those needs fulfilled. But with that being said, all of the switch of moms are, still working virtual, they have kids, trying to go to school virtual. What are some tips that you have that are practical that a parent could start to apply into their own practices to help create that healthy, happy environment in their home?
I think the goal that's a phenomenal question. Use this technology. Myself even didn't fully know how to use it, so it was boring. You got Zoom fatigue, and the truth is, Zoom fatigue is just people when you're doing an event and someone doesn't know how to do the technology, and when someone doesn't know how to make it engaging. So, um, I think
And I
it's
would say
what's really
that's probably 99% of Zoom meetings of cameras looking up people's nose
yes.
or just trying to talk through like it's a meeting or whatever. And sometimes it can become very boring. But I haven't watched anything from you that's boring. Let's
Let me
just be
let me
honest. There's no
let me
boredom here.
when people tell me that kids are tired of screens, I think about Carly Fleischman. Carly Fleischman is a young Canadian girl who has cerebral palsy and autism. By the way, you're like, what tools can I share? Teach your kids about autism, because a study from the University of Texas at Houston that just came out found they measured this. They found that kids who were typically developing, who don't have autism, who learn about autism and special education, and they learn about Down syndrome and cerebral palsy, they're far more empathetic, compassionate, kinder people. So if you have a child who has special needs, like there's a great thing about inclusive education. If a
Hmm.
student in a classroom is in a wheelchair and all the students are sitting on the rug and they're like, why is that one student not sitting on the rug with us? It opens up a whole other conversation than if that student was separated from that group. So I think
Absolutely.
it's really essential to learn about people like Carly Fleischman. Oh, I got to point this way. People like Carly Fleischman, who she's in her 20s and she has a talk show on YouTube with millions of followers, and she can't talk. She types through her iPad like Stephen Hawking. And until she was 8 years old, her parents thought she didn't perceive anything. They thought, and then she started learning to type on her device, on her augmentative communication device, and they realized that she had been present the entire time. She knew everything that was going on when her family didn't think she did. This book changed my life. And then she wanted to be like Ellen DeGeneres, take it a step further. She wanted to have her own talk show, and now she interviews celebrities like Stephen Colbert on his night show, on his late night show in front of millions of people, and Channing Tatum and James
Oh
Vanderbeek
my
from
goodness,
Dawson's Creek.
that's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. And I mean, going full circle with her parents thinking that she wasn't aware of what was happening, then to find out, nope, I've been here the whole time. It's such a shift. I don't think any of us can really comprehend that. But it's amazing to see. So now she's turned into a YouTube
Yes,
phenomenal
yes.
personality and showing other people what's possible between technology and having the right people to kind of guide and support. That is so cool. Yeah,
I
I had
noticed that.
never heard her story before, Matt.
Well, and this is, I'm gonna make myself small, so just make sure to on ecamm, because I was looking at Facebook. I'm like, oh, they can't see me. So this is my brother Tim, and Tim has autism, and Tim's 40, and he's my wife's brother, and I love him. He's my best friend. And we are going to, when his parents pass away, he will live with us full time. He lives in a day rehabilitation facility. And when Tim was growing up, Tim would do all the things that kids with autism do. Uh, and kids would make fun of him. He would flap his hands. Can everyone at home flap your hands like this? He would flap his hands. Very nice. He would flap his hands. He has light sensitivity. He needs to take people breaks sometimes. People overwhelm him and he retreats to playing video games. And by the way, video games are $100 billion industry. Anyone who says that that's not a real career, go jump in a lake. Go to Austin, Texas. Their whole economy is like built around video games.
Oh,
And then
wow.
sometimes when Tim was in public, he would jump up and down, and everyone jump up and down. Very nice. And some days Tim would rock back and forth, get everyone rock back and forth. Very Very nice. And kids would make fun of him. They would physically beat him up. They would push him into the urinal. They would do all that type of stuff. And now Tim, at 40 years old, is a published children's author and illustrator. And Tim is going
Bring that over a
to
little bit more. We didn't see it.
well, the green screen
Oh,
makes
there
it
you go. I
disappear.
got it. Yeah.
But like Tim now is going to leave behind a legacy, and it's amazing. He's an author and he's a published illustrator, and and we self-publish, but again, it counts. I think it's amazing. His family is so excited that he's going to leave behind this thing. And so I just want to show you some of this book. This is his story. You see, one day, and Tim loves animals. How many of you love animals, right? One day, Tim walked outside with his pet parrot, Scrack. Scrack went on a big adventure. Flap your wings, go! Flap your wings, flap your wings, flap your hands like very nice. Flap your hands like their wings. We're going on adventure. Scrack's big adventure, written by Tim and illustrated by Tim, with help from Mr. Matt. La 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 la. Scrack landed on a horse. Jump up and down, go! Galloping, galloping, galloping on a horse. Galloping, galloping, neigh, neigh, neigh. Ride on a horse. La 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 la. Scrack landed on a turtle, rock back and forth, rocking on a turtle, back and forth. But Scrack went to lunch, and all the mean birds said, "Don't let that bird sit at our table." I mean, bird feeder. And Scrack shouted, "Scrack! Scrack! Scrack!" And all the other birds flew away. All by itself. Everyone say, "Oh no!"
Oh, no.
But to make matters worse, a bully fox came out of the woods and said, "I'm gonna push that bird off the feeder. 1, 2, 3, and a jump! Quick, flap your wings, go! Flap your wings, flap your wings, flap your wings, flap your wings, flap your wings. Get away from the fox, from the bully fox." Woo, woo. What's making that sound? Can you all point to the picture? What's making that sound? That's right, it's the owl. Great job. The next day, Scrack flapped its wings. Flap your wings, we gotta find our family. Flap your wings. Ah, shouted the neighbors. Girls, grab a laundry basket. They took Scrack to the vet, and they called Tim's mom. She ran over. Put yourself in her shoes. Go. Run, 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 run. She ran to get Scrack. She ran to the neighbor's house. Run, 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 run. She ran to get Scrack back, and she took Scrack home to Tim. And Tim gave Scrack a big hug and a kiss. Give your family a big hug and a kiss and say, "I'll never let you go again." And Tim tells this to his bird and his family every day, even at 40 years old. The end. Written and illustrated by Tim Shaw with help from Mr. Matt. Everyone put your hands together. Scrack's Big Adventure. And I'll put a link to the chat in the book, because everyone, by the way, I always forget to do that. We talk about self-promotion. I actually never self-promote. I'm the worst self-promoter in the world, because teachers are like, "Where's that link for that book?" And I'm like, "I'm so sorry." This is why I need an administrator to help me out.
Well,
But
I think it's because you're filled with so much enthusiasm and energy that you're just in that trance, and it definitely translates across the screen. So yeah, yeah. Hey, we have to have some fault. I don't know, between you rocking and rolling on that guitar. I don't know. I think that you got your plate full, man. So
Yeah.
I think that this is one of those things, though, that can be amazing to pull people out of their shell and to create the sense of really connecting in life between music and art and storytelling. And you're not doing it in a way that's just flat, like that black and white, read a book. You've engaged into this whole nother level. And I think that that's one of the key things, too, with all kids is they're not going to be satisfied like with this boring presentation. We've got to find ways to engage and utilize technology to help make that possible, because yes, we are competing with video games, even with our teenagers. Yes. So having that little outlet in a positive way, I don't know, it's kind of cool to see you bringing life in this format online.
Yeah, and it's, again, like, I used to play I still play like 60 different instruments when I started. Again, it totally works. Open your laptop. That's how all the famous people start. And I would sing, "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine." But I think that, and I used to play like the didgeridoo, which is really great. I would go like this. But one thing I'm learning is that digital music is also really exciting, and I would love to show you just like an example of like, there are ways that you can make digital music in the background, and I'm going to show you like this one over here. This is Fingertip Maestro, and this is one of my favorite apps. I'm going to make myself really small here, so let me get down really
You're
small.
not going to sneeze again, are you? I don't want to get sick.
Oh, my son was sick this whole. That's something I do with the kids. My son, by the way, we're back in daycare, right? And a kid came in with COVID, right? Because that happened, so they had to shut down the building. So he was so like, and then and I was like, oh, is there like a refund or anything? No, I'm still paying for it. And then he got sick the following week with a regular cough. So I tell you, man, it's really just like to be a parent. And I think about I bring this up for a very important reason. If I'm going through this, other parents are going through it too. And like, here's another great example. If kids get sick, they can't go to in-person in normal times.
That's right.
So virtual is a way of keeping, or like I work with a lot of daycares, right? And sometimes they can't physically get to the library. Sometimes it's a hassle to get all the kids into the gymnasium in the school. And if the assembly can appear on the smartboard, and you can make music with the kids and show them tools that they can use to make music. And you can hear that, right? Can you hear all that music?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. And then you can record songs. And one of our goals is to put the T back into STEAM and STEM for technology. Because we don't want it to be about going to a boring Zoom fatigue meeting. We want it to be about making art.
And especially with kids, you've got to keep them engaged and make sure that they're not getting distracted. You can't just throw a screenshot showing your nostrils and thinking that they're going to want to stick around for long. Now, are you playing all of these instruments? You did guitar, ukulele, piano, a little bit of techno.
Liz, I want you to tell me let's go for this. Are you ready? You want to go for something?
Let's do it.
What are your top 3 favorite instruments?
Instruments, guitar, for sure.
Guitar? Okay, what else?
Piano, and you know what? We got to have a little bit of fun. Let's put some classic in there with a clarinet.
Okay, so we got the clarinet, we got the guitar, the piano, and the clarinet. We're gonna make up a song live in the moment with today. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open up a new document. I'm gonna open up this. This is Garageband. And this comes like routine with everyone's computer. So I'm gonna go to the other side of the screen, and I'm gonna make a new one. So we're gonna make a song, an original song, in the next minute. Are you ready? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in here, gonna go into loops. And this is another piece of it. We're gonna go into instruments. We're gonna do guitar. Start with the guitar, and let's hear it. So that's option number 1. And let's do a boogie. That's not bad. And let's go. I like that. Let's go with that third one, the Brazilian guitar. So what we're gonna do is add in piano now. Piano. Doesn't work. That was not bad. I'm gonna try a different one though. Let's go to the bottom. I love that. Here we go. Piano. Here we go. And then we're gonna add in the clarinet. Good one. So we're gonna add the woodwind. We're gonna look for a clarinet. Actually, I might need to purchase the clarinet. So let's just do something similar. Do saxophone. Let's go with it. Here we go. We're live today with Liz Carrasco, and we're at Kudos magazine talking about entertainment for children and adults with developmental disabilities. And I think this is missing one essential thing: the drums. And this is just an example of how you can use it. Let's get some drums here. I love it. Let's do some of them. I love it. Here we go. Here we go. So you can play around with this and you can start making your own music. I love it. So this is just a very basic, simple thing that comes standard with every iPad and iPhone. And, you know, if you tinker around with it, you know, for a little bit, you could start finding out different things that might... Ooh! And this is a different... You could, like, take different instruments. And you can, like, incorporate this here. So there's just this, like, just an example of, like, you could get really creative with virtual. You know, you could do stuff with real instruments, you could do stuff with digital instruments. And, you know, I get very passionate about it because, you know, again, like this is Brian Eno's app. And not every student is going to want to grow up to be a musician, right? And then maybe they'll make music for a hobby. This will inspire them to be app developers, or they'll learn code, or they'll learn how to build websites for musicians, or they'll learn how, you know, these are the job skills of the future. And, you know, you don't necessarily need to learn how to do code. Maybe you'll be a consultant who comes up with the design and the look, and you'll have like ways of helping people organize their ideas, like creatives like myself. So you don't, and there are people who can do tech jobs, maybe who don't even need to understand how the tech works, like all the code. They can help manage the organization, you know? So there's like a whole bunch of different things that you can do to incorporate these things into learning, into the jobs of the future. But it, you know, I don't think it's a good enough thing to say these are the jobs of the future. Like, okay, like if someone's like, I'm like, you know, coming here, I'm gonna get rid of all the rats in your house, and I promise in the next 5 years they'll be gone. You know, you'd be like, get out of my, I'm hiring somebody else, I'm hiring another exterminator. I want them out right now. But like, you know, so like right now, the thing I think that's really amazing is I've done shows in New Zealand and here in the United States, and the kids in New Zealand, and Tuesday at 10 a.m. talk to the kids here in the United States at 6 p.m. on Monday in real time, and they were asking each other questions. And like they were like, "What day is it over there?" And we're like, "It's Monday." Like, "Oh, Tuesday!" And there's like 300 kids in a school talking to kids here in New York City and Washington and Baltimore. And I'm using the same router that I used to watch Netflix.
Yeah.
That's mind-blowing.
It is mind-blowing, but it shows you how we can actually take technology and create opportunity to create connection and to help people. And it's so much better. I mean, like if you think back to, you know, early 1900s, like just 100 years ago, of what would happen with a person or a family that had a loved one that had a disability of any sort. And I just love hearing about opportunities that exist, or people like you. And this is one of the reasons why I asked you to come on, and I'm so grateful that you squeezed me in today, Matt. Is you're looking for opportunities to change and to make sure that people aren't getting left behind, that people aren't being hidden in the shadows, and instead can come out to the forefront and start to embrace and get a taste of the sweetness of life. And we need more people like that. And especially right now, I mean, we can get into one of these modes of turning on the news or even scrolling through social media. And it can become so overwhelming and depressing. And I've said it a couple times, you literally are like this bundle of sunshine. And along with that sunshine, you're bringing knowledge and you're bringing the opportunity for people to physically start moving in their body. So, like a minute ago when we were doing that little dance, I mean, think about it. Like, you can tell somebody, go do your exercises real quick. But if you do it in a fun way like that, it's play, So I think that more people and organizations should know about the programs that you're creating and hopefully take time to bring that into their own communities as well. So, with that being said, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, are you, because I know that you said, I mean, you're really booked. Is there a way for people to still be able to connect with you to maybe bring you in for a program for their school or other organization?
Yeah, the best place to go is turtledancemusic.com or autismfriendlyshows.com.
Say
Those
that
are the two
second one again, autism shows.
aut- autismfriendlyshows.com,
Okay.
autismfriendlyshows.com. We help kids come out of their shells, and that's our parent company, and we want to deliver. And this is tried, true, and tested. I mean, I could show you millions of reviews where the principals are like, "This is incredibly amazing." Teachers, we performed at one school in Franklin Square, New York, and then the PTAs from the 5 other schools were like, "Hey, we heard, we're booking you."
That's
Like, it's
incredible.
that, like,
Yeah.
wildfire. When
Yeah.
people were telling
And with the
me,
virtual world, that makes it where it's easy for you to be able to plug in, regardless of weather. You can still show up and have your show. And it still keeps living even after your virtual show's over, right?
yeah, absolutely. And we like to, with folks who are watching the show, we can also like record the events and we can, share them with folks. But I think the easiest way is to book us through the website and to talk to us because we want to show you the best way. And again, we've done virtual shows where like one kid shows up, and we've done virtual shows where 205 kids show up. We've done show like and so we are learning what works and what doesn't work, and what works for parents' schedules and for teacher schedules. And it's just I think it's really powerful. And what's amazing is like we got a school in Connecticut was like there is a 2-year-old child who asks about you every week. And one thing I'm
Wow.
comforted by is that they're not watching a recorded video. Like I am talking to that student and saying, "Hi, so and so. How are you today? Wave. Oh my goodness, your dancing's amazing." And like I would with
That
my
is
own son.
so personalized. I mean, it's just so, it's
I mean,
unlike cartoon. I loved cartoons like, in the 70s, Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner, all of that, Woody Woodpecker, but they weren't engaging with me and saying my name. Now, what are some of the reactions you're getting from kids when it's like real time and you're saying their name?
I mean, again, I think this is like it's interesting because I want to share something on my screen here just so you could see like this is the real deal. I mean, this is from a teacher just yesterday who was like, "Mr. Matt was absolutely amazing with my virtual kindergarten class. We've been virtual all year. I know firsthand how difficult it is to keep all their attention for 30 minutes. My kids were dancing and active the whole time. Mr. Matt encouraged a lot of participation via the chat box, which is really big, and he was so engaging. I can't wait for my other classes to get to see him tomorrow." You know, it's not just like oh, that was a good event. That was great. Hey, good job. It's like I can't wait to see the next one. And and what's really great is that you can talk about the water cycle. You could talk about the solar system. It's funny. I played one of my videos earlier. I have to be careful playing my videos because on Facebook Zuckerberg on Facebook, they have such strict copyright things from the Metallica versus Napster lawsuit. So they have to shut down the stream. So I have to be careful. So I can't do any more of my I have to do it like acoustically. But like, the kids are just having the best time ever with the shows and the events. And there's like a cicada over there. And this is, one thing that I get in legitimate fights with some musicians and people. They think that I'm trying to advocate for digital to take over in person. No, I'm not. I don't want my son reading an iPad ebook before bed. No way, dude. I think that these tools will legitimately get more books in more kids' hands. That's the picture I want to paint. This is I say in all my shows that people like us, crazy people, we take our IKEA bags and our organizing bin to the library and we check out 15 to 20 books at a time, and we have a little take and make craft, which the libraries are now offering. And so I think this digital media combined with in person is the most powerful way to use it. I don't think it should,
Absolutely.
I don't think it should just be kids at home on their laptops and iPads and phones. I think it should be integrated with real in-person events and should be, and I think it's not that I think it works.
Well, there's
It that
something different about when you have people that come together. Number one, the energy shifts and there becomes a stronger connection. However, I do believe even as things do move back to in person events, virtual events aren't going to be going away. And part of it is there are some advantages that we can use, including technology, to help communicate and create connection. So, yeah, a little bit of both. But I think some people are afraid, and especially with, school, so many kids being out of school, they're ready for that, what you're showing, of all those kids to be
yeah.
together in one room. But while we can't, it's important to make sure that we're being proactive to create solutions. And what you've done is above and beyond just looking at a gap maybe with schooling, and you started looking into these niches of I would call it a huge group that are left behind. And you made sure that no, they're not going to be left behind. And in fact, you're going to take it up to this next level. So it's pretty cool. And in fact, one thing, Matt, when I look at your content, you want to know what it reminds me of? Like a innovative modern day version of Blues Clues, where they would have
Mhm.
these cutouts and backgrounds, and you'd see, Blues Clues taking the seat. And I forget what was the character's name with the green and white shirt. Oh my gosh, I can't
Oh,
believe I remember
yeah.
it.
The guy, yeah, I remember his like
Steve.
Steve.
Steve. There
Steve,
was
yeah.
two of them, Steve and another guy. But it reminds me of that. And I can almost imagine if my kids were little and then if you were saying their names while they were, live and watching you, it could bubble up all of these ideas and excitement. And I think that engagement part is sort of like that hook that can pull them into the, oh, I want to pick up that book afterwards and read it, or I want to do, because I know with my kids, like they would always walk around with they called it the handy dandy notebook, which was on
Mhm.
Blues Clues. So
Yeah.
I see how you can create this connection between online and offline and being able to do it in such a unique way.
Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And I even think, like, with, I don't know, children's hospitals, is there a way of doing some of these shows? Because kids are sometimes in the hospital for long periods of time, and being able to create some of these connections can help even in the healing. Keeping our minds active is key for children and adults.
Well, I also want you to understand something. I when I perform at the hospitals, right? The kids will be, some of the kids they're in wheelchairs, they have like severe physical stuff, and this is just where they are because of their physical stuff. So one thing that we can do that's really innovative is we also like to come with a lot of books for the kids. I'm gonna switch cameras over here. And one thing you can really do is like I can turn myself into a llama, and I'm gonna make myself just a little bit bigger. And you know, you can turn to a llama, and you can cool about working with us millennials and us Gen Z. And Gen Z, all hail Gen Z, all hail the Linda Lindas at the LA Public Library. Did you see that?
No.
The middle school girls took their books and turned them into punk rock songs and then played at the LA Public Library, and their video went viral for
Oh my
like
gosh, it's
7
awesome.
views. And so, and one thing that I want to, and Amy Poehler picked them out and was like, "You're an amazing group," and like like
Yeah.
they're doing all, and they're talking about like racism against Asian people, because a lot of the band members is for Asian
Yeah.
American
Yeah.
Pacific Islander month, and
Hmm.
so these young girls who are like 5th grade, 7th grade are like, doing this really sophisticated stuff, and then singing punk rock songs about their cat named Monica. Like stuff that, like, that's what we're thinking at, like that's part of their, you know so like one thing we could do is we could take books and turn them into really engaging interactive experiences. Like, this is llama llama hoppity hop, and you could do something like llama llama hoppity hop on a doodly, llama llama jump, go jump jump jump, llama llama hop, sorry, I messed up, hop hop hop, llama llama red pajama thump thump thump, you'll forgive me, thump 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 thump. Llama llama touch your toes, touch your toes. Llama llama tap your head, tap your head. Llama llama red pajama clap 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 clap. Llama llama stretch up high, stretch up high. Llama llama bow down low, bow. Llama llama red pajama, big hug now, big hug now, big hug now. Llama llama red pajama, big hug now. And so,
Bravo. Another one.
you know, and again, I started off just like everybody else, opening up my laptop. No filters or lights or effects or anything. I just have no special audio equipment, nothing like that. And I essentially, and what's really cool about this is, like, I can transform. Let's say you want to ask an orange a question, I could turn into an orange. I'm using TikTok right now, plugging TikTok into, usually I plug it into Zoom. But I could turn myself into an egg. Watch me turn myself into an egg. Ray, 1, 2, 3, boom! And now I'm an egg, and I can talk about eggs all I want. I can talk, so I can do like all different types of things, and change my face and my filter. And I'm gonna come back here to my normal camera, just so like we can also have a normal adult human discussion. But and then I can really change back really quickly. But I like to do everything over Zoom. A lot of my school partners kept everything on Google Meet. And I just think that live is the way to go. I think it's the future, and I think it's really important, because I think the people who learn about it are going to have a role with it in the future. And I think the people who don't necessarily know as much about it, or I think, like, what if someone came to me and was like, "Hey, learn a different language, like Mandarin, or else you can't participate." That would be so overwhelming, right? And I think, and I don't want to be ageist at all, ever, because, like, I will be in those people's shoes. I hope to grow to be an old man who
Right.
is like, I don't understand what flip flop is, or whatever, like that.
Whatever they come up with, yeah, augmented reality. But
I mean, that's karma.
it is key to definitely have that willingness to keep grasping new technology and staying on top of it. But equally to that, you and I were talking earlier. One thing that sort of people need to start looking at is making sure everyone has access to internet connection and to some of the basic tools to be able to stay connected. And part of that is making sure that we don't have this big gap in our society of people that have knowledge and technology, whether, having access to it is for financial means or whatever. We've got to make sure that we have people growing in this together. And I do agree with you that live is going to continue to grow. I think it's one of the most effective ways for marketing, promoting, sharing
Yeah.
information on education and entertainment. But there is a learning curve. And, I know
Yeah.
even for myself, I've done Zoom and some StreamYard and recently started getting into some broadcasting. And we normally don't talk about that here on the Kudos page because we typically focus on the healthy, happy living. But one
Yeah.
of the things about happy living is being able to stay connected and participate in some of these things. And I think that you're making it look really easy. But I love your moment of truth. And you said it took time to get here, and
Yeah.
you keep building on all of these things. And the same thing for teachers or parents or even hospital administrators that may look at this,
Yeah.
finding ways to do these exciting things. Obviously, they can connect with you, hire
Yeah.
you, bring you in for a special project. But if they're doing it themselves, find ways to just add a little bit each time. Whether it's you might not be able to play five instruments like Matt just did. But whether you can play the guitar or the didgeridoo, you can do
Yeah.
little things to kind of bring in that something special that's going to keep people engaged,
And
and you're definitely doing it.
one
So,
thing for
really quick for the
hospitals.
viewers
Oh,
online, if you haven't signed up for a free magazine, I want to encourage you, go over really quick to kudosflint.com. We're getting ready for our next issue of Kudos magazine, and this one is going to focus on caregiving for the caregivers. And Matt is definitely somebody who is an innovative caregiver for caregivers, and you're creating tools that can make all of this possible. And just 5 years ago, we really didn't even have a vision for something like this. So I just can't tell you how grateful I am to see you out there being a pioneer and not waiting for people to come up for the solutions. You're seeing it, and you're filling that need. And if more people started to do that with the gifts and talents that they have within them, what an amazing world it could be. So I just want to encourage that for all of you. Find little things that you can do. Like Matt saw this gap. He saw that there was a need to provide this level of entertainment, and especially during COVID. Matt, during COVID there was, I think, a 30% increase in suicides. There was a mammoth increase in divorce rates and so many other things. And believe it or not, I know it sounds funny, like having this program, could it help? Yeah, it absolutely can, because sometimes people just feel the need to be able to get connected with other people, but also to let other people know, hey, you're not alone. There's a lot of parents out there that have a child who's autistic, and they may feel like they're dealing and carrying this heavy load on their own. And now you're creating this online community of virtual events that are making people feel connected and that they can have a life. And I mean, the story about your brother in law,
yeah.
Tim, is it Tim?
Yeah.
That's incredible. And I really hope that a lot of people hear this. So if they have a loved one that has a disability or something that they're dealing with, we all have something that we're dealing with. But to be a reminder, you can create amazing things in this lifetime, and you do matter. You do make a difference. And I think that you're showcasing that. So I've got to give a great big kudos to you, Matt. You definitely are an inspiration, and I would call you a breath of hope. So thank you so much. And I do want to say it's been interesting and not boring. So thank you again for coming out today. And real quick, your website again. I'm going to throw it up here, but you said it is turtledancemusic.com.
.com. We help kids come out of their shells.
I
Yeah,
love it. What a perfect tagline.
and I just want to say also, we do mean virtual karaoke. I used to do karaoke with the adults at the hospitals too, with autism and developmental disabilities. And similar to this screen over here, just the hospitals couldn't have me in. I remember how I should answer this. So the hospitals couldn't have me in because they want to bring in outside people with germs. So if you got together like a projector screen or a large TV, plugged in the computer with the internet, use an Ethernet cable. Ethernet cable, not Wi-Fi. Ethernet cable, not Wi-Fi. Use an Ethernet cable because it will double your internet speed and you'll have 0 lag. So it'll be like amazing. It'll be like Christmas. It'll be wonderful. Use an Ethernet cable. Plug us in there, and then we can actually take song requests over Zoom with no copyright issues,
Yeah.
and we could sing any song with karaoke, and then people can get up on stage. And we've done this, and it's amazing. So, and then the people in the hospital, and we do this on Christmas, and it's really cool too on like holidays, and like now that I don't have to drive anywhere, I can facilitate these programs.
And you
then go
could do
downstairs and have
multiple.
family.
You could do multiple because now you're not trying to get from one state to another state. You can
Hey,
instantly do
I
it.
did 5 shows already today. You go from 9 to 12 in the East Coast, and then 9 to 12 Central, and then 9 to 12 in Pacific. I'm performing with our friend Mommy Lala in the Philippines at 10 p.m. here on Monday nights, 10 a.m. in the morning. So there's really like a
She's
whole remote.
awesome. What great energy.
So it is your show. I want to step back a little bit, but I just want to say again, I think, and like again, I also did karaoke with a family in California, a family in Connecticut, and a family in Great Britain. All the relatives got together, and I did my karaoke event, and they had on a Saturday night. They had the best time ever. And when I see things like that, I'm like, this technology is magic. It is pure no way those 3 families, even without COVID, could have gotten together on a casual for that person's birthday without flying and driving. And so I would like to think it's doing what libraries do best, and what schools and what hospitals. It's bringing families together.
It
And that's
is.
amazing.
It
And that's
is.
what live does differently. And I love that.
Well, you're doing a fabulous job with it. And I know that as you continue to go down this road, you're going to impact a lot of families and people in a really positive way. So I'm wishing you the best of the best. And it's been fantastic having you on today. So for all of you that took the time to come on out, I appreciate you. And if you got something out of this message, or you know a family that has a child or loved one that has autism, please share this video with them. Let's start to give other people resources so they can bring a positive impact into their lives and into their homes. And that starts with just one share. And real quick, in case you don't know, we do have a free Facebook group, a free Facebook group called Caregiving for the Caregiver. And if you have a chance, go over there and check that out. It's a great place to get some resources and tips to help keep your family on track for healthy, happy living. So, Matt, again, thank you so much for joining us. Do you wanna string out on a quick riff as we sign off and say goodbye to everyone?
Yeah, I'll sing you this song as we finish out for today's show. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. And let me do this. I'm gonna do a little Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Is that cool?
Do it up.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and I'm gonna make my background nice and beautiful. Here we go. Make myself nice and small. Here we go. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. No, let's do one more. I just want to do What a Wonderful World just because it's my favorite song. Here we go. 1, 2. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and for you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Thank you for having me out tonight, Liz. Today. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, the bright blessed day and the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Thank you so much for having me out today.
Yay. Thank you, Matt. We appreciate you so much. In the meantime, we wish all of you an absolutely amazing day. Take care, you guys. We'll see ya.